So I guess you guys know Tony that presented the photo catalyst coding. So today he's presenting the color stain sealers. So I'll hand it over to Tony.
I didn't hear any of that. Oh, now the echo.
Yeah, I also didn't hear much, but that's fine. Tony, if you want to just go ahead, it's fine.
I can try. There's echo. Okay. We manufacture our own products, and we also provide a supply and apply service for specialist colour finishes and matching and bespoke effects on walling materials. And we do this throughout Australia and New Zealand. It's also in USA and Canada, and we export our products into Southeast Asia. It started, a little bit of history, it started in 1972 and we started in 1998 here in Australia. The products have been designed to adhere to the surface and penetrate the surface pores of initially clay bricks and concrete masonry. And since then we've expanded our services to concrete, in situ form concrete, GRC, as well as any other form of porous walling material. So that's residential, commercial, infrastructure, and I'll try and just move through. I think the thing that defines us from a lot of other products is if we actually do the application ourselves with our own trained people or subcontractors. We offer a 25-year warranty against the product for light fastness and integrity. There's a range of products that we have that we use to colour the walling materials. There's Nortone and Nortone Plus and Nortone G. They're all basically a polymer binder that forms adhesive bonds with the surface pore structure. They have inorganic colorants that don't break down in the sun, and the binder's been engineered to withstand the UV. The Nortone G we would use when we're trying to get sharper colours or metallic finishes, and we also have an chiefly inorganic stains, the mineral silicate sol stains. Again, these use basically it's dissolved sand that reacts with the surface to either react with the calcium from the cement in the concrete, or to form microcrystalline silicate bonds with the surface. So that's more of a chemical bond than an adhesive bond. And we have like a flat matte version, Nortone K, and a semi-gloss version without the flatting agents, again used for sharper colours and metallic finishes. We also provide sealing for moisture penetration and also graffiti management. And I was going to show a couple of short videos here. One will be of the graffiti management system we have, and the first one will be our sealing. You may have seen it before. Let me just go to the videos. So there's this one.
Tony, you might have to share that video screen with us.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. So you'll have to stop sharing and then reshare.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Let me go back to. I'm going to stop sharing. So that is back in my Teams. Where's this? Raise your hand. Where's the stop sharing button here?
Just below the mic.
Yeah. And then I'm going to share something else. I've got to get that video open. Okay, share. Is that working?
Not yet.
We have this issue. What?
No, it doesn't seem to be coming through.
Doesn't seem to. Okay, it's. I'll send you the links to those to Honey.
Yep.
It's basically the first video is 3 pieces of concrete masonry, just a grey CMU, and they've been coated with a sealer. The sealer doesn't let the concrete surface wet out, and it's invisible, doesn't add a gloss. And then there's another video, which I won't try and waste your time, showing how we've got a graffiti system that closes out the pores of the concrete and makes graffiti easily removable by a non-contact sort of spray-on removal process. And it doesn't change the appearance of the concrete. But I'll get you both. You'll just have to take that as on my word at the moment.
Yep, that's fine.
I'll go and try and share the rest of that presentation. Is that working now?
No, not yet.
What have I done wrong? I'm going to stop the share.
Yep.
Share. No, I'm going to share. Is that working? No.
No.
What am I doing wrong? I'm not very good with Teams. MS Teams, raise your hand. Share.
Tony, is it maybe a video that you've got on your website by any chance?
Yeah. We can send you a link straight after here, or I can go. What I'm having trouble right now is going back to the PowerPoint. So
no, it's all good. It's come up now.
It has it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So basically, we've got some sealing and graffiti management that don't change the appearance of the concrete, and we have our own graffiti remover, and I'll send the videos of that through. But some of the things that our capability of our products is in colour rescue work. So when things aren't available, like bricks aren't available anymore, and people want to build or add on or renovate, we get a lot of work like that. We get a lot of insurance work. There's a lot of manufacturers work with batch variations that get tidied up. I'm not on the right slide, am I? View from current slide. That's better. We also do water colour. Again, the stain's just applied to the mismatching water, and we can adjust the oxide blend to bring the colour into conformance. We get a lot of work also restoring original looks with split face masonry that they'll try and remove the graffiti and they'll leave all the shadow behind. We can come in and make it look natural again. A lot of what we do with architects, particularly in our own local cities, it's a bit harder to do with COVID at the moment, but we get involved at the design phase if they're trying to come up with a special look or effect, and we do a lot of more 2 or 3 dimensional finishes, so they don't look like a flat paint. We could certainly make it look like a flat paint, but our products are thin film and very thin. They don't form a big thick film, and they look very natural. So we try and build on that. So we started off just being a long life paint early on in 2006, 2007. And some of our early projects are just on grey precast here. You'll see some opaque finishes. That one's St Leonard Square that was finished last year. We also have translucent finishes, so you can actually look through the colour to the substrate. And a lot of architects like to like that sort of look, or they like a look with understated variation, or they're looking for that. They're not looking for a flat opaque look. And some of the translucent finishes can really sort of absorb and sort of reflect back the sun's light at you. They seem to have a bit more brightness than a normal coating. We do metallic coatings as well for concrete. There's a project down in Adelaide which just was grey precast with some false joints running down there to give it a bit more movement, and then that just had a standard copper coloured metallic stain finish over the top. We also can make things look like other metals, bronzes, weathered copper, and that can be done on moulded concrete or off-form concrete with dummy joints. And an example here's a pump station in New Zealand being coated. Starts off in grey precast, ends up looking something like what the designer asked for. We do long life vivid colours as well. They typically get used just to break up a boring facade or a structure, or to make a statement. This one's down in Melbourne. We do a lot of trying to make stone. Sometimes people want to design flat surfaces with more of a stone appearance or a granite appearance, or they go to the trouble to mould the concrete with a liner, and then we just add the colours to the grey concrete to make them look more natural. There's a project down in Melbourne, and there's a bunch of projects going on now called Anaconda Concept Stores, and the owner lives down by this surf club. He saw it and he's included that in the design of these concept stores. We've just done our second one. We do a lot of bringing concrete up to scratch aesthetically. It usually doesn't get there during the construction process, so we tend to just blend out outlying colours and patches and repairs where there might be a cold joint in the formwork, and leave the concrete looking like the architect designed it in. There's a big we've seen a big movement towards designing exteriors in materials rather than in applied finishes. So we get a lot of work bridging the gap, bringing concrete back to looking fair-faced. I can send you the before photos of things like this that were actually a disaster, and then we brought them back to making them look like they were just a natural concrete formed up set of columns there that didn't have anything unusual happen to them, but they looked much worse than that before. Oh, sorry. Someone's drilling on the roof. Yeah. We also do a thing called a finish like a patina. Sometimes you may have seen that specified, or an architect might ask for that. Generally speaking, if they've asked for just a plain colour and then you show them the colour in a patina, the architect tends to prefer that because it has a more natural look. So there's a few examples. That's Eastern Creek Quarter that was just recently finished, stage 1. That was grey precast. It has been moulded and it has a Nortone K patina, natural off-white sort of look. We also make concrete and/or cladding look like timber, especially if you can put a little bit of form into the concrete. We just layer the colours so it picks up the grains, and in this case you can also get an express joint look where there's no joints. This is down in Collins Street in Melbourne. That's all fibre cement, although it looks like natural timber to the untrained eye. That has the advantage of being fire compliant, being fibre cement, and we've got all our products tested to AS 1530.3, and they come up as Class A classification, so they're designed to be put near fire doors and stuff like that, and have a good resistance to smoke and flame. These are actually precast buildings in grey concrete with a brick form liner mould in them. Some examples there. Another one down in Melbourne, public housing at Carlton. And more recently, we've adjusted our offer for lightweight walling systems, particularly fibre cement, like the James Hardie Exotec, and we can produce those finishes on site, and that includes concealed fixing, express joints. Here's a couple of projects where there seems to be a growing market for people who want to make their soffites that are very visible from the ground look a little bit more high end. They can put a fibre cement cladding over the rough old formed up concrete, and we can turn it into it was timber lined, and it's also flame compliant or non-combustible. So it's soffites and walling with the cladding. The natural concrete look up the top here, and that can be compressed fibre cement or just normal naked fibre cement. Like in this case, this is soffite that was just lined in Versalux, and we applied the Nawkaw colours to simulate a natural wood finish across the soffite there. We do a lot of sort of work behind the scenes, and often, increasingly, we're sometimes being asked for allowances to just bring concrete back to looking like concrete when if you like, the architect and or the engineer and or the client have seen disappointing outcomes in concrete before. They ask us to give them an allowance and so that it's allowed for in the project, so that concrete can actually end up looking like concrete. Now so there's some examples here where we've been called in. You know, you've got the standard patch repair that the formwork will say that meets class 2. You need to pay me. I'm not fixing that. And you know, we come back in and can blend things and leave them looking like natural fair face concrete. There's we've sent through I think a PowerPoint on just that subject earlier. And more recently, since 2016, we've been offering photocatalyst coatings, which we spoke to you guys before about, on top of our Nawkaw coatings to preserve the as-new appearance, to stop streaking coming down off parapets, off flat surfaces, and to stop, you know, dirt accumulating, mold accumulating over time. So there's some examples. This project here had all the concrete elements coated with photocatalyst after the Nawkaw coating went on. Similarly with the soffites. This is ARC by Crown, and this was all precast concrete, and the architect, Koichi Takada, was very aware that he wasn't going to get continuous look of even concrete from the precaster, and he certainly didn't want streaks and everything coming out of the fixings where the water would concentrate and run dirt down from these mouldings that went over the outside of the precast there. So all of this and this dark surface up here has the photocatalyst on top of the Nawkaw stain. We're getting a fair bit of repeat work out of Macquarie University as well, where they've got some brutalist concrete buildings that were built in the 80s through their campus. They were designed to probably catch a lot of dirt with a lot of ledges there. Uncapped parapets. You can see the black mould starting to colonise in the concrete as it's been carbonated over time. There's a lot of trees overhead here, so the buildings look pretty shabby, and they've started building new buildings at Macquarie, and they wanted to start tidying up the old. So we go in and we clean the mould out. We poison we put something in to prevent the mould from coming back from below. We then put a Nortone K coating over the top of the weathered concrete, and that actually consolidates the weathered surface because of its microcrystalline bonds with the sand particles there. It also binds an oxide there that's light fast. And then we've overcoated that with the photocatalyst coating that doesn't change its appearance, but it gives the facade the ability to decompose mould and dirt and stay looking like new. And we're about to start the main library building there at Macquarie Uni, the same sort of concrete. They're just deciding on the final colour. And also this is partway through the Second Ponds Creek segment of Sydney Metro Northwest SkyTrain, where all their peers weren't meeting their aesthetic requirements. So you can see they've got the Nawkaw stain going on through there. In the end, they got us to stain the viaduct for this section and the parapet panels and put photocatalyst on everything. So there's a before and after. That's the end of the slideshow that I have. So it's over to you guys for questions.
Thanks,
if there's
Tony.
any.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions in terms of the you had a slide there for the Norclad system.
Yep.
Does that particular system come with its own built-in anti-graffiti properties, or do you need to put in a secondary coating over that?
A secondary coating could give you anti-graffiti and hard wearing, abrasion resistance if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Or the photocatalyst coating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can have the photocatalyst coating on it as well. Yeah. If the objective is self-cleaning, definitely you can put the photocatalyst over it.
Right. Okay. And the other one is with your color treatments, what sort of frequency is required in terms of how long does it last before you need to come along and redo the surface, or is it is it 5 years, 10 years?
We offer a 25-year warranty on the color systems. People say, how can you do that? I've been out and seen some of our jobs that are 20 years old and they're still looking good. We don't have to recoat it. We did the Sugar Dock building at Jackson's Landing, and I got called out by the property manager. It was 10 years after we've done that, and they said, do you need to recoat it? I said, no, I don't think it needs recoating. Are you happy with the colour the way it is? There was a couple of repairs where the concrete had cracked and shifted a little bit, but the coating itself looked okay. So the only thing I would say, Sanka, is if you're in a really dirty, dusty area, you might need to give it a periodic wash down. That's about all.
Okay. I mean, even if it's directly exposed to high UV radiation, it's all fine, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And then graffiti coatings. I know you've got non-sacrificial and sacrificial.
Yeah.
Now a lot of manufacturers that we've come across have basically said that it's when we coat it, it's invisible. It doesn't change the appearance of concrete, etc. Is that, I mean, in terms of how your system works, is that actually the case, or will you get some sort of appearance? The gloss level might change slightly, or does it actually not change?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. If we say the surfaces that normally goes over is like smooth off form concrete, and we have a porosity sealer that's non-organic in nature that fills up the surface pores. So imagine if you had more of a microscopic eye, you've got the pores filling up to the point where the graffiti paint can't penetrate the pores. So it sits largely up on a platform, and we have a spray system that you just spray on the graffiti and let it soften, and then you rinse it off with water at the end.
Okay.
And it doesn't change the appearance of off-form concrete. It can also be used on some of our Nawkaw coatings as well. And then we do have a really high performance anti-graffiti coating that will change the appearance. It will build a gloss. It has a bit of a build to it, but you can't even write on that with permanent marker. It just wipes off with a tissue.
Right.
The paint's that much repelled by it in its liquid state. It doesn't get a chance to even form an adhesive bond from the graffiti.
Okay. I mean, would you say most of the range in your with Nawkaw would you say that's more a topical coating rather than a penetrating one?
Yes. The last one I'd mention would be more of a topical one than a penetrating one. It will penetrate a little, but it's designed to sit on the surface.
Good samples.
Yeah. Would you like us to send some samples to you, or to every city, or wherever you're?
Yeah, that'll be great. I mean, what I always want to know is, you might have a panel that you sort of split down the middle.
Yeah.
You have one panel that's not coated, and like one side not coated and the other side is coated. Yeah. So you just want to sort of see what the differences are, and I mean, a lot of architects are more are interested in that.
Yeah.
And and it's one of the questions that they always ask is, just how much does it change the appearance?
Yes.
And if we can have a physical sample to say, well, I've got a physical sample here, and half is coated, half not, and there doesn't seem to be any physical changes. I mean, it's always good for us to know that and advise them on that.
Sure, we can certainly get those to you, half coated, and you can have them in your hand. And that
doesn't have to be big.
I don't know if you can see that. That's half coated. You can't see.
Yeah, you can't really see it. Yeah.
Actually, the coating is across the middle there.
Okay.
Half coated, half not.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's a self-cleaning one as well.
Okay. And there's no chance of it yellowing off over time due to exposure to UV or anything like that.
It's inorganic, and it's not an acrylic or a urethane that might yellow.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Tony, I've got a question for you too. So I was looking at your website as well, and I saw this photo. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
So
yes, I know that
house. This house where half of it is kind of, the house is done with the brickwork, but if you look at the sort of garage or the section on the side, it's plain. Yeah. How the hell do you guys do that?
Well, that was a new garage addition to an existing house, and the brick wasn't available anymore. It was an Austral brick. And how do we do it is we look at the colours that are in the existing house, and we apply them in ways that replicate exactly the visual sort of colours you're seeing in the existing house.
Very clever.
So the guys have got some skills that do that. You can't just give your product to a painter and say go and match that up for you. No, they've learnt that craft over years.
That's what it looked like when it was finished.
Yes. Yeah.
Very, very clever.
That's
So-
amazing. Wow.
So there's I think honey, Rebecca, before she went on maternity leave, sent some links to slideshows, and they're actually on our resources section of our website, and you can download or go through the slideshows. I'll show lots of examples of color matching like that, and you know, whether that's a piece of sandstone, a clay brick that you can't get, concrete. The guys are just like chameleons. They can blend things away and make it look harmonious again.
Be a great
I
name
guess
for one of your brands.
Sorry?
That would be a great name for one of your brands, called Chameleon.
Yeah, I know. It's not our. It's actually not our brand initially. It came from Canada, and our Victorian business is actually called Chameleon Masonry, but it's to use the Nawkaw brand. Yeah.
Cool.
I agree.
Thank you.
Oh.
Hi, Tony. John.
John.
I got a question.
Yep.
Actually, it was a bit related to Deb's question. Obviously, you've got some artists who got a palette and they touch up the different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're requiring some artistic skill. But earlier, you also said that your warranties depend on if you do the installation yourselves.
Yes. Well,
what apart from the artistic skills, what other skills do they have that maintain that warranty or provide that warranty?
Okay. Well, when we supply and apply a job, we know we've done the right surface preparation and applied it ourselves. So that's why we offer a higher warranty. But for instance, like that St Leonard Square job, that was done by third-party subcontractors, and we offer the warranty on the longevity of the product, provided it's installed properly. So it's a product warranty, just like another paint company might do. So it's not an application warranty for when a third party is putting it up. But if the client wants the longer warranty, they can engage us. Sorry, the supply and apply warranty, they can engage us or some of our trained contractors to do the application.
So the warranty includes the application and the product if we apply it. If we don't apply it, then it's a product only warranty.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's another product architect use, which is that Kime product.
Yeah.
Looks a bit similar. What are the differences?
Well, our Nortone K and the Kime product's based on the same technology. That's the mineral silicate binder and inorganic oxides. The Kime products are quite sound, but their business model's a bit different. They sell to the painter, and they don't supply and apply, and they basically either sell it as a paint to an opaque finish, or they achieve a little bit of translucency with their laser product by thinning it out with outer pigment with a fixative, and that's their business model. Ours, we tend to take all of our chameleon type skills into jobs, and we solve problems along the way that turn up that aren't necessarily solved with a translucent product.
Okay, I understand that.
So often it's you see in specifications Nawkaw or Kime or equivalent. And when it's Nawkaw or Kime, we know it's the mineral silicate. That's Nortone K. That's our Nortone K. Yeah.
So I suppose you get called by contractors before they get the architect to inspect if the concrete isn't, if it's a bit botchy, they call you in to fix it before someone notices that it doesn't comply.
Yeah, it's funny. You get this argument all the time out on some building sites, because there's a thing called AS 3610, which is a formworking standard for concrete, and there's a section on colour. They've just revised the standard and lowered the bar even further. So basically, anything that gets made even if it's looking very aesthetically unpleasing is usually deemed to pass the Class 2 requirements, and we tend to come in when the builder's not happy with it, but more importantly, the client isn't unhappy with it, and they're calling it a defect, even though it may not be technically a defect. There's a commercial dispute going on, and we're trying to, over time, go back to this situation where sometimes people understand that this concrete in this construction is not going to end up looking good with the normal Australian construction practices, and it's better to allow to tidy it up with some surface stains rather than just stand with the result you've got. So if it's allowed for, the builder's not fighting doing it. If it's thought about as an afterthought, well, then someone's got to pay for it, and that's usually not a comfortable situation to be in.
Yeah, we're aware of that change in that standard. In fact, Asanka gave us a talk about it a few weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
About how to control the color differences.
Yeah, well, we got asked. I got asked to sit on that standard for a short while, and we actually, if you see that, remember that photo, there's actually some digital numbers on there. We provided the digital numbers because we measured the colours from the photo of the 10 different grades of grey, and the standard before that had a tighter thing. There was like class 2X or class 1X, and X meant the architect could actually sort of stipulate a colour, but now I believe the standard allows very much more wider range of colours.
Tony, can I just ask, why did it go into the digital colour numbers?
Well, that's a really good question, Asanka. What happened was they wanted to define or measure the colour, and at the time there was like you're allowed 5 different shades if you're going to specify, colour 6. You're allowed 5 different shades to fall within, and outside of that's a defect. And what they wanted to do was, we were asked along to say, can you actually measure colour on site? And I said, yes, we can. And there's a handheld colour spectrometer you can go and put on a surface, and it'll measure the colour digitally. And we just proved that by digitally measuring all the colours on that photograph, and we actually gave them those numbers. And even though they didn't use any reference in the standard, they still put those numbers on that chart. It made me laugh when I saw it. I thought, well, why are the numbers there? You haven't mentioned using digital techniques out on site to measure colour.
Yeah, that's right.
I totally forgot about, because I got to tell you, a lot of the people on that committee that I saw weren't interested in bringing about improved concrete colour. Yeah,
it's because there's a lot of confusion within the industry at the moment as to how to measure those colour tones, and
Well, those numbers relate to a colour meter. I can send you some information on it, but I didn't see any of the clauses or chapters in there have any reference to it. It just surprised me they actually left those. They changed that photo and left those digital numbers on.
Are you able to send me some information, because I think from a specifications point of view, even though the standard doesn't say it, I think it'll be good to put in some sort of control criteria within our specifications on how to measure those colours.
Yeah, I can send you some articles, and on it we can send you links. It's just a handheld. We use it for quality control on our stains here. When we're manufacturing pale by pale, we actually take a dip, we let the stain dry, and we measure the colour coordinates. And if that's outside of 2 delta units of 2, which means there's a slight colour variation, we have to adjust it before we can release it. And the same equipment, it's portable. You can carry it in your pocket. You can take it out to a site and do the same reading, and get the colour. You can read it in certain sections of the concrete, or between two panels. One might be outlying. You can be able to assess digitally the colour difference.
It's common in paint.
Yeah, Yeah.
And does it take into account the light levels surrounding it? So you might have a panel that's of close in terms of tonal range, that's close together, but you've got different light levels.
Yeah, different light levels can make panels look different. But the meter itself won't be affected by the light level. It's actually clamped down on the surface, and it measures the surface itself, and not being affected by incident light.
Okay. Interesting.
I've got a question, if I can.
Yeah.
G'day, Tony. Will here. Sorry, I missed
Yeah,
the
Will.
start. Good, buddy.
Yeah.
So we're chatting with a lot of architects now. As you mentioned before, the issue with 3610 and the reduced quality level of it. Mm-hmm. So we're finding that chatting with a lot of architects, and I said that before with Bait Smart, was that we're trying to create more control, so a class 2 CX, and trying to go beyond what the standard says.
Yeah.
But then it's almost a discussion of, do you incorporate a coating like Nortone K?
Yeah.
And just say, no matter what you do, we're going to coat it.
Yeah.
Or what we're tending to do at the moment, what we did with them, is if the contractor doesn't achieve the level that we've stipulated, then they need to coat it with Nortone K.
Yeah.
Let's say if it was a class requirement of class 2CX, as part of your coating, do you then try and replicate class 2CX, or do you just say we're going to grout every blowhole and it'll end up looking like a class 1 finish anyway?
That's usually what the client expects, is a class 1 finish, even though they've contracted for class 2 and paid for class 2. If we can keep the variation wide, and sometimes, like some precasters, like advanced precast, they don't want to really make it all look good. They just want that panel to come back. Can you blend that one panel in? And we just go and blend that one panel in. We can do so. We can keep it as wide as you like, or as tight.
I'd assume most of them would want, if they're paying the same, then they'd want the better class of finish. But that's the sort of conversation we're having with the architect at the moment. Like, if it doesn't achieve the level, then the backup is to coat it and so forth.
Yeah, and hopefully they allow for that in their budget rather than fight it afterwards.
Well, I think Bait Smart had that fight a couple of times. Now they're just saying you will coat it.
Okay.
So maybe that's what we go with the architects with, that sort of direction.
So I mean, that's how Koichi Takada specified Arc by Crown was. He had a fair idea that he wasn't going to get what he wanted, so he specified it as the. And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion out there because with the Nawkaw and the Acacia too, it comes back as I've seen specified light grey, even concrete patina photocatalyst finish, and it's like that's actually two different products. The colour stains of the Nortone K and the photocatalyst is there as clear, and it doesn't change the appearance, but it's going to keep it looking new. And somehow that specification gets builders confused. I've seen it. They don't want two products; they only want one, and they want it all in one. And I keep on saying it's actually two different products. It just hasn't been specified properly.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you.
No worries.
Anyone else have any questions before we let Tony go?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Tony.
For your time.
Okay. No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Tony.
Bye.